Opening the Book of the Earth tonight, the collective is going underground, because apparently the divine hid some of the best lessons where impatient people refuse to dig. We are entering the mystery of the Book of the Earth, the ancient Kemetic underworld composition where solar rebirth, the depths of the Earth, the horizon, and the mystery of regeneration collide. And tonight we are going deeper then. The sun sets and rises again. Beloved, we learned that in elementary school. The mystery is what happens between disappearance and return. Tonight, the collective will discover why descent was not always understood as defeat, why the hidden Earth could become a chamber of transformation, and why Aker, the ancient horizon and Earth deity often represented by paired lions, gives us one of the most beautiful symbols for human becoming. One lion faces what has been. One faces what is coming. And between them stands the sacred now. That middle space is where tonight's medicine lives, because many of us spend our days negotiating with yesterday while borrowing anxiety from tomorrow. Meanwhile, the present is sitting there with the keys like, whenever y'all finish this meeting, I'm the only one who can actually open anything. Tonight, we learn the difference between being buried and being planted. Both disappear beneath the surface. But only one is preparing to become something new. That distinction can change the way you understand an entire season of your life. Some transformations do not announce themselves. Roots do not send newsletters. Seeds do not post weekly progress pictures. The Earth performs some of her greatest work where nobody can see a thing. And that gives us tonight's first piece of esoteric wisdom. Never measure invisible work only by visible evidence. Something can look still and be transforming. Something can look finished and be reorganizing. Something can disappear from the surface without disappearing from existence. The ancient solar mysteries understood this beautifully. The light descends. The light becomes hidden. The light undergoes transformation, and the light returns. So as you continue through your day, carry this with you. Do not keep digging yourself up to prove you're growing. Give your roots some privacy. Let silence teach you. Let patience strengthen you. Let yesterday become instruction instead of residence. Let tomorrow become possibility instead of anxiety. And stand consciously between those two lions. Because the deepest lesson of the Earth is not merely that something can survive darkness. It is that something can enter darkness as one thing and emerge as another. So if you are in a quiet season today, don't immediately call the undertaker. You may simply be underground doing sacred construction. The seed isn't dead, beloved. It's busy. Carry that frequency until tonight. We are going beneath the horizon. Ahll!
Channeled by your architect musician, 36110, 27 palms of eyes. The golden whisperer, sea star, Devalan see all. Apply the news you can use, truth and accuracy. The real non-bedazzled jewels.
The mystery beneath the horizon where light entered the Earth and learned to become dawn. Beloved collective, we have been looking toward the heavens for a long time. Tonight, look down. Under the temple, under the road, under the roots, under everything humanity built while pointing upward and asking where the divine went. Because ancient Kemet preserved another answer. Sometimes the mystery is beneath your feet. Welcome to the Book of the Earth. A royal netherworld composition from ancient Egypt, sometimes called the Book of Aker, appearing prominently in New Kingdom royal tomb decoration. And this scroll carries a deliciously inconvenient teaching. The Earth is not merely something you stand upon. In this sacred imagery, the depths of Earth participate in solar regeneration. Meaning the setting sun does not simply vanish behind the horizon like somebody unplugged the celestial lamp. The solar power enters the hidden realm, descends, transforms, regenerates, then emerges again. So immediately we have a problem, because modern thinking loves straight lines. Birth, life, peak, decline, death, finished. Ancient sacred imagination looked at that little diagram and essentially said, cute, then drew a circle. The mystery of Aker. One of the figures associated with this underground solar mystery is Aker. Aker is an ancient earth and horizon deity, famously represented through paired lions associated with the horizons. One looks toward yesterday, one looks toward tomorrow. Between them, the horizon, the passage, the place where one condition becomes another. Now that is esoteric, because yesterday and tomorrow are staring in opposite directions. while you are standing between them. Yesterday knows what happened, tomorrow knows nothing yet, and the present is the sacred threshold where one becomes the other. That makes the present moment enormously powerful, not because somebody printed "live, laugh, love" on a wooden sign and frightened everybody's living room, because the present is where transformation actually occurs. You cannot heal yesterday inside yesterday. It is gone. You cannot build tomorrow inside tomorrow. It has not arrived. Your power exists here, between the lions, between what was and what will be. Sun beneath the earth. Now come deeper. In the Book of the Earth, solar imagery becomes intimately connected with the underworld, earth, divine bodies, resurrection, and regeneration. And here is where the mystery becomes beautiful. The sun descends, but its descent is not its defeat. It enters the hidden place where renewal becomes possible. That gives us one of tonight's great teachings. Going down is not always falling. Sometimes you descend because the next version of you cannot be assembled on the surface. Roots grow downward before trees rise upward. Seeds disappear beneath soil before becoming visible. Pregnancy develops largely unseen before birth. And yet humans experience one hidden season and immediately announce, everything is over. Beloved, you might be germinating. Please stop digging yourself up every Tuesday to check. That is why some transformations fail. We keep interrupting them. We demand evidence too early. We want sprouts before roots. Results before integration. Dawn before midnight has completed its work. The earth says, stay still long enough to become. The body as sacred territory. Here comes another layer. Ancient Egyptian religious thought repeatedly connects cosmic processes with divine bodies. Sky, earth, sun, Osiris, Ara, horizon, the human body. These are not always treated as completely separate categories. They interact, mirror, overlap, participate in one cosmic order. That means the sacred story is simultaneously enormous and intimate. The sun travels through the cosmos, but the soul also experiences cycles. The earth receives the solar power, but the body also receives experience. Something enters you: love, loss, knowledge, betrayal, wisdom, grief, joy. Then your inner world must decide what to do with it. Some experiences become poison, some become medicine, and sometimes the same experience can become either. That depends upon transformation. Two people can survive the same kind of betrayal. One becomes cruel, the other becomes discerning. Two people can experience poverty. One becomes obsessed with possession. Another becomes generous because they remember hunger. Two people can experience rejection. One spends 20 years proving themselves to strangers. Another finally learns, my worth was never on trial. Same soil, different harvest. That is why darkness alone does not transform you. What you do inside darkness matters. The great esoteric misunderstanding. Now let us correct something. People often imagine spiritual awakening as constant elevation. Higher consciousness, higher vibration, higher dimensions, higher self, higher, higher, higher. Everybody trying to spiritually climb the building while nobody wants to inspect the basement. But nature does not work like that. Before the tree goes high, the roots go deep. Before the temple rises, the foundation descends. Before wisdom becomes luminous, it usually becomes uncomfortable. So perhaps awakening is not simply ascension. Sometimes awakening is descent with consciousness. Going into yourself without getting swallowed by yourself. Meeting the wound without becoming the wound. Meeting your history without turning history into identity. Meeting darkness without declaring darkness your permanent mailing address. That is mastery. The Book of the Earth gives us imagery for exactly that kind of mystery. The hidden realm is not merely where things end. It is where transformation occurs. The two lions. Now return to Aker. Imagine the two lions, one facing yesterday, one facing tomorrow, and you standing between them. Yesterday says, remember. Tomorrow says, become. Wisdom says, do both. Remember without living backward. Become without pretending the past never happened. That balance is rare. Some people worship yesterday. Every conversation eventually becomes, back when. Beloved, even your ancestors eventually woke up the next morning. Then others become obsessed with tomorrow. Manifesting, planning, predicting, waiting, preparing. Always becoming, never being. Meanwhile, the present moment is sitting at the table like, does anybody plan on actually living? Aker's horizon teaches balance. The past is teacher, the future is possibility, the present is power. The earth does not rush. There is another lesson beneath all of this. The earth operates on rhythms humans find deeply disrespectful. You plant today, nothing. Tomorrow, dirt. Next week, still dirt. And humans start accusing the seed of betrayal. Meanwhile, beneath the soil, roots, cells dividing, structures forming, life organizing itself invisibly. The surface sees nothing. The earth knows everything is happening. Collective. That may describe some of your lives right now. You see nothing. But nothing visible does not mean nothing happening. Some seasons are underground. Do not insult them. You may be developing roots strong enough to hold the thing you asked for, because receiving something is easy. Holding it requires structure. People ask for abundance without financial discipline, love without emotional maturity, influence without character, knowledge without humility, power without responsibility. Then wonder why blessings arrive wearing running shoes. The earth says, grow roots. The hidden sun. Here is the deepest mystery tonight. At midnight, the sun is invisible to you, but it has not ceased existing. Your position changed. That means absence from perception is not necessarily absence from reality. That little sentence could save somebody years of unnecessary panic. You cannot see your future. It still exists as possibility. You cannot always feel your strength. It can still be present. You cannot see every consequence of the work you are doing. The work can still matter. And you may never witness every person your life influences. That influence can still travel. That is legacy. A seed rarely sits beneath the tree enjoying the shade it eventually creates. It gives itself to a future it cannot personally experience. That is one of nature's quietest definitions of love, the collective's lesson. So, what did we learn from the Book of the Earth? Simple. You are not always buried. Sometimes you are planted, and those are very different conditions. Burial says, this is where the story ends. Planting says, something new is preparing to emerge, but discernment matters. Do not romanticize every hardship. Some suffering needs to be stopped. Some environments need to be left. Some wounds need actual help, boundaries, justice, or repair. Wisdom does not sprinkle glitter over misery and call everything divine timing. Sometimes the sacred message is, get out of there. But when you truly are inside a season of growth, do not mistake invisibility for failure. Do not confuse quiet with emptiness. Do not confuse descent with defeat. And please stop digging up every seed because 3 days passed and the universe failed to provide a progress report. Let roots become roots. The final mystery. Yesterday stands behind one lion. Tomorrow waits beyond the other. You stand between them. You cannot rewrite yesterday. You cannot fully control tomorrow. But right here, you can choose. Choose what continues. Choose what ends. Choose what gets healed. Choose what gets taught differently. Choose what your descendants inherit. That is how legacy actually changes. Not by pretending the past never happened, by refusing to make the future repeat it. So stand between the lions. Honor what was. Prepare what will be. And become fully present inside what is. Because perhaps the greatest secret beneath the horizon was never that the sun could rise again. Perhaps it was this. The darkness never owned the sun. It was only the chamber through which the light was traveling. And collective, whatever sacred thing is growing beneath your surface tonight, give it roots, give it truth, give it patience, give it ma'at. Then when your horizon opens, rise, not as the person who entered the earth, as the one who learned what the earth was trying to teach. Ahll.
To every soul who made it to the end of this scroll, congratulations. You didn't just watch another video, you trained your attention, exercised your discernment, and invested in the one treasure no one can steal from you, wisdom. Graduation isn't receiving all the answers. It's finally learning how to ask better questions. If today's scroll sparked a thought, healed a wound, challenged an old belief, or simply reminded you that you're not walking this path alone, then pass the lantern forward. Someone out there is still searching in the dark, and your share might be the light they were praying for. Join the collective by subscribing and turn on your notifications so you're there when the next scroll or codex is unveiled. Time has a funny habit of delivering the lesson right when it's needed. The algorithm is simply humanity's latest attempt to organize chaos, Sometimes it even succeeds. Until we gather again, keep your heart soft, your mind sharp, your spirit grounded, and your discernment polished. Question with courage, learn with humility, lead with compassion, walk in wisdom, walk in love. We'll meet you in the next scroll. All.
Until next time, your sea star Curacy, channeled by 3611027, the beautiful whisperer. Our sea star Devalan CO. Apply the news you can use.
You only have to say nothing. I already know. I know.